What's up, guys? Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas with you for another edition of Tropics Watch. And thankfully, there's a lot to talk about, but there's nothing threatening. So I want to be clear about that right off the bat. We're going to break down a couple of systems that you see highlighted right there on your screen, but none of these are coming to Florida. None of these are coming to the United States. Closer to the end of this live stream, we are going to look a little bit down the road through the first week of August, as again, tomorrow, hard to believe, starts August. It starts the Cabo Verde season, which increases the likelihood of these waves rolling off of Africa and then connecting across the central Atlantic, those long-range systems. The title of this was, again, that we are likely going to see our next tropical storm of the 2023 hurricane season in the next coming days. And that is that big red blob on your screen. That is as highlighted by the National Hurricane Center. You see it right here. It's a wave of thunderstorms. We're going to take a closer look at that. And I'm going to show you why, this isn't a depression or named storm in just one second. But I want to show you the second area here in yellow. Don't have the percentages on the screen, but this is a 20% shot. The chances have actually gone down a little bit, although it is producing some healthy thunderstorms right now. You see this area, bring out my cold front icon. It's merging with the frontal system that has moved off of the United States. Once that happens, it's hard to take on tropical characteristics. It's going to go more non-tropical. Still going to be impactful for any ships in that area. It's certainly going to bring some gale force winds and some nasty waves out there, but it is all likelihood not going to become a tropical system. It's not going to have all of the components that it needs. We're going to get into some of those components in just one second as we take a closer look at Invest 96L. And it's this one that's in the central Atlantic, northeast of the Caribbean. We talked about this last week, that this was likely not going to impact the Caribbean. It was likely going to also not impact Bermuda. So this one is not going to impact anybody other than the fish and some of the shipping lanes out here. But here we are on the brink of our next named storm of the 2023 hurricane season. A recent satellite pass just measured winds of 35 knots. That's 40 miles an hour. So as soon as it gets its last component, and that is a low-level circulation, well-defined, we will have a tropical storm. The next named storm of the 2023 hurricane season is Emily. So we're looking at this satellite here, certainly producing a lot of thunderstorms. That's the bright white on the right side of your screen. It does look like we're starting to get a curl. And again, this is live. This is real time. This is 11:08 on July 31st. So if you happen to be watching this a little bit later on down the road on the recorded version once it posts, it may already be a tropical storm. And let's just see, just make sure that the Hurricane Center hasn't done anything with that out their 11 o'clock advisory. And it appears that they have not. Since we're getting the streams ready, they may have snuck in there and done that. But I don't believe that they have, because nope, they still haven't. Just want to double check that before I went forward. But again, it doesn't appear that we had the full circulation anyway, so didn't think that they would. What I mean by that is you can kind of see the winds coming out of this way. There's a little curl up here. We're looking for more of that. Although you see that those last frames, look at these cumulus clouds here. So I'm going to highlight these. You see that wind field down here. It doesn't completely look like they're going out of the southwest. We need it. The point I'm trying to make is we do some like real-time diagnosis of this system. We're looking for a complete counterclockwise circulation here at the surface. It doesn't look like it's all there, but once it does do that, that's when we will get this upgraded to a tropical storm, because it's already producing tropical storm force winds. It has the thunderstorms. You see that here. It just needs that well-defined low-level circulation, and then as soon as it gets that, bam, it'll be a tropical storm if it maintains its 40-mile-per-hour wind that it currently has. So again, we're going to be watching that closely. It may happen later today on July 31st. It may happen on August 1st, but it does appear to be imminent that we do get our next named storm. Now, spaghetti models again show here that this one is likely going to be a non-factor for land, which is some great news. Again, let's continue to dodge these things this year. Here we go. There's 96L. And again, if you're not familiar with Invest, as I keep on chirping out Invest, that's what the Hurricane Center calls these things. That's when they start to run their models on the system itself. Invest is short for investigation. And how they do this is every storm gets a number. It starts with 90, goes to 99, and then it repeats through the hurricane season. So once we get to 99, hopefully we don't, but we likely will. Once we get to 99, it'll start back at 90 and then go through 99 again. L is the basin tag, so that stands for Atlantic. There's the L in Atlantic. There's also E for Eastern Pacific, and then there's other ones for the other tropical basins around the world. But nonetheless, that's what an invest is. All of these computer forecasts, though, take missing Bermuda, missing the Canadian Maritimes, and then also missing the Azores. So this is like your best case scenario if we're going to get a tropical system to develop. On to the models now, as we kind of start to look a little bit long range for us. Here is what will likely be our next tropical storm. That ball of red, again, that's what we are looking for, that low-level center, that low-level entity. This is the model spin. The darker the red, the stronger the spin near the surface. See it right here. It's this long, drawn-out thing. So that's where our other disturbance that the Hurricane Center had highlighted. It's right along that cold front that's working its way off of the United States mainland. That is our likely tropical entity. And then during the main development region, right on through here, there's really not much going on. We do have another wave trying to come off right about there. And then another wave, this is the Euro rendition on August 4th, right there. While they may be highlighted for some development potential, modeling does not really develop these. Here we go on August 7th. There's a little bit. Here's our tropical wave, right about through there. And then it kind of works its way in, may increase rain chances for Barbados and into the Lesser Antilles as we get towards the 10th of August. But the Euro is not bullish on anything, thankfully. And the GFS, that's, I guess, a combination of the GFS and the Euro. The GFS shows the same kind of story. Here's our little entity here. That's July 31st. And on the model, for what it's worth, notice it still has that wave pattern. It comes in out of the east, goes up, and then comes over. So still by 2 o'clock, the GFS has not developed it. And then once we get it into the first couple of days of August, it does. So again, it's very important that it gets that well-defined center, or else it won't become a depression or storm. And again, in this case, it already has the wind speeds for that criteria to become a named storm. It just needs to get the circulation down pat. But again, in terms of the next 7 to 10 days, things look pretty. I'm not even going to say the Q word. Okay, we want to keep it that way. About 80%, though, of all storms that develop do so from the third week of August and then the remainder of the season. So we always talk about it. Like, it's supposed to be quiet through this part of the hurricane season. Like, June starts the official hurricane season. We've already had storms. We certainly have had very nasty storms. If you remember, back in 2005, Emily was a very strong Category 5 hurricane that rolled through the Caribbean and didn't hit anything, at least as a Cat 5, and that is why we've recycled Emily again. So again, if you remember, I mean, there's a lot of this is the 2005 list, if you're not familiar with the names, and we had a lot of, like, we had Rita and Stan retired back in 2005. We had Wilma retired in 2005. Whitney replaced that. We had, obviously, Katrina in 2005. Katya replaced that. So a lot of these names you see here have been retired and then replaced because, obviously, 2005 was just an insane year. The second most in terms of named storms, and then the second most intense hurricane season when you measure it from the intensity, that ACE, that accumulated cyclone energy, also second most intense. The year the most intense is escaping me at the moment. I want 33, maybe, but it's the second most intense. And of course, we had, I believe, 28 named storms that year. Nuts. Let's hope we don't repeat that. Of course, El Nino is here. Remains to be seen what its impacts are going to be with how extremely hot the water temperature is in the Atlantic, but nonetheless, we have it there. Alrighty, guys, we have been coming at you live on the News 6 YouTube channel, and then also on clickorlando.com and the Pinpoint Hurricane app. if you are watching on YouTube and don't have the Hurricane app, it is a free download. Not only can you get live streams like this and tropical updates from us right here in this kind of setting, you are also going to be able to get real-time updates right to your phone from the Hurricane Center. So as soon as they name it, and if they name this entity that we were just pinpointing together, you're going to know about it first, because as soon as the Hurricane Center hits that button, it comes right to your phone. I like to think that they have a magic button when they name something, they push it, and then it goes out to their platforms, including our very own Hurricane app. You can find that app by going to any app store that you like and searching WKMG. You'll see we have 3 apps: our news app, our weather app, and then that Hurricane app there. It's also interactive, so you can track it there and look at that, all of the updates again from us, real meteorologists, and then from the National Hurricane Center, obviously real meteorologists, come right to your phone. It is the best hurricane tool on the market, and it's free. I'm biased when I say that, but it really is. Also, clickorlando.com. We're coming at you live. Clickorlando.com/hurricane. It is also a very good tool. It has stuff to make your kit. It has information on sandbags locally if you're on the local front in Central Florida. But if you're not local, if you happen to be watching from the islands or somewhere along the Gulf Coast or Southeast or Northeast U.S., great stuff on there to help you get prepared. I say that here as we get ready to venture into the peak of hurricane season. Of course, the climatological peak is September 10th, but August starts peak season, and then really we see that ramp up as we move through the first couple of weeks of August. Again, really as we get to that 3rd week of August, that's when things start to get real crazy on a climatological scale. And again, we'll see if that remains to be seen, but we'll see if that happens, given the fact that we have El Nino. So let me update this for you. This will be the last thing I show you here. I'm going to move our line, the kind of "you are here" line, and we're going to move that. We're about right there now. So we have now entered, or we're about to enter, this kind of zone of biggest increase in tropical activity that starts in August and then goes all the way through about the 3rd week or 2nd week of September, that we see that ramp up of tropical activity. And then we start to see things climatologically come down at the end of August, or at the end of September, I should say. But remember, last year we had Ian at the end of September. And then there's always this second flare up here at the end of October, start of November. That's like that second Caribbean season. We start to get cold fronts come back down into the Gulf of Mexico. Boy, we would love a cold front right now in Florida and parts of the deep south. But then those more homegrown-y storms start to come back in, and then we get that flare-up of activity again in August and November. Again, now we're heading into the Cabo Verde season, which you get those tropical waves rolling off in the West African monsoon season. All that jazz starts to crank up. So again, it's important to make sure that you're prepared as we get into the peak of hurricane season, which officially starts tomorrow, August 1st. Again, peak season, climatological peak is September 10th. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, this has been another edition of Tropics Watch Live, coming at you from our clickorlando.com WKMG News 6 YouTube channel, on clickorlando.com, and on the Pinpoint Hurricane app. We will catch you next time, unless something threatens in between, every Monday at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll catch you soon.